It's a great pleasure to be here, and this topic, particularly for you all, who are aspiring civil servants who will move in to govern the country in the future, hopefully, many of you. And so I'll keep it simple and I'll give you an overview. Most welcome to ask questions, even in between if any doubts are there, right? And I'll bring a focus more on Iran, India, Pakistan, and North Korea. In the context of what Mr. Damodaran said, in '98 when we did our nuclear test, there was an interview done with Stephen Cohen. So Stephen Cohen, who passed away last year, if I'm right, and a long-term India hand, and he was in Brookings, and he was interviewed and asked. One of the questions was if India and Pakistan did tit for tat nuclear tests, but if partition had not happened, and if India, the whole subcontinent was one country, how would America have dealt with it? And he said America would have been sitting with China and trying to deal with this huge country, and it wouldn't have been very good for India to face China and America together. Okay, so in these developments, it is inevitable that, like you said, there are strategic partnerships take place at different times in history based on the environment and strategic necessities of each country, right? So nuclear dimension is an extremely important development that happened in the post 1945 world. Yeah, okay. So let's ask the first question: why do we need it? Nuclear weapons. Move to the next one. Okay, let's see. The nuclear age starts with. Are you all aware of this? How many of you have seen the Oppenheimer movie? Okay, the Trinity test, July 16, 1945. Okay, and the atomic age begins with that. And one of the descriptions that Bernard Brody mentions is that from now on, until now, the militaries were the main primary job was to fight and win wars. And from now on, their job will be to prevent wars. You know, that's the way he actually explains. So the history of international politics since 1945 is also largely influenced by nuclear politics. And as nuclear weapons, as Adam Smith says, invisible hand, the nuclear weapons play a role to regulate behavior. It brings in constraints and shapes preferences while remaining largely invisible. Most countries don't have it anyway, right? But they still get influenced by this entire thing. So what are the aspects that we should be looking at? So in terms of understanding the role of nuclear weapons, they permit diplomatic exchanges from military deployments to alliance management to technological cooperation and impact on trade and economic integration as well as international finance. It is reconfigured the relationship between military power and international influence. In short, nuclear capabilities influence statecraft, right? And in the context of security, it is about survival. If you understand and if you ask the question, why did we go nuclear? The finger will point at China. Why did Pakistan go nuclear? It will point at us. And what does the nuclear weapons do? It guarantees survival of that particular state. There is a red line that comes in, kicks in immediately. And then you can have any number of conflicts, but that red line will keep staring in your face and you can't go beyond that. Right? And just to flag that issue, that is why Asim Munir or Musharraf in earlier days will keep doing the nuclear saber rattling. Right? They're not fools. They know what they're doing. Right? And why would a state want to go nuclear? Simply because it fears an existential threat should a war break out. And it doesn't trust anybody else as a reliable ally to provide the support when necessary. Okay, but that applies to every country. Some of them may choose to be an ally, but the latest example, Iran, when we study that, you will understand that part well. But also, why so few countries go nuclear? Not everybody can, right? resources, and more importantly, ever since we understand the international system and the great power politics, this is one area that's been controlled extremely well, and make sure that the great powers don't want any more competitors to come and compete with them. Okay, so it's been made extremely slow, and if there is a big country like India that is determined to go nuclear, nobody can stop it, but you can delay it. That's what has happened, right? And in terms of states, two-thirds of the states which are not threatened by nuclear weapons, really speaking, they're too small, or middle powers and smaller powers, and they don't want it as well, but they're also very weak and unprotected should they want to take a chance to stand up against a powerful country who's a nuclear armed country. They won't do that. But a country, even a small country with the backing of a major power like the US, Israel, had decided to go nuclear simply because it does, even Israel doesn't trust the US for its survivability. Right? That's the reason. So there is a lot of conspiracy theories that keep floating around these days. There's quite a bit of an element of truth in it as well. John F. Kennedy's assassination, because he was vehemently opposed to Israel going nuclear, and he wanted to open it out and remove it completely. And since he was opposed, they say Mossad had a major role in his assassination as well. There are about 16 countries who are on the nuclear trajectory, which includes Iran may go nuclear in a time, and Indonesia is another candidate. Some of these countries with big populations can go, but we have 9 countries who are nuclear weapon states effectively right now. Okay, please read a paper by Kenneth Waltz, who wrote that in 1981, and he says more may be better. To understand the international system, and 21st century or late 20th century international system and 21st century international system, why more may be better is a nice paper to read. Not everyone will agree, but there's a logic in it. Okay.